Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the human ship Wanderer. The stars looked different here at the edge of human space. They were brighter and closer together. Jake had been exploring for 3 months now, looking for new worlds where humans could live. "Captain, I'm getting something on the sensors," said Lieutenant Amy Brooks from her station. She was the ship's navigation officer and the best at reading star maps Jake had ever seen. Jake walked over to Amy's station. "What do you see?" "5 large ships coming our way." "They're big, Captain. Much bigger than anything we have." Amy's voice was worried. "They'll be here in 10 minutes. Jake nodded. The Wanderer was a good ship, but it was built for exploring, not fighting. It had basic weapons and shields, but nothing like what a real warship would have. Send them a message. Tell them we're peaceful explorers from Earth. Amy worked at her controls. Message sent, Captain. No answer yet. The bridge was quiet except for the soft hum of the ship's engines. Jake looked out at the stars and wondered what was coming. Humans had been traveling among the stars for only 50 years. They had found a few empty worlds to settle on, but they had never met another intelligent species. "Captain," Amy said, "they're answering." The main screen lit up with the face of something that definitely wasn't human. It had gray skin, large black eyes, and a mouth full of sharp teeth. When it spoke, its voice was cold and harsh. "I am Admiral Kethvar of the Zephyrian Empire. You will stop your ship and prepare to be boarded. Your species is unknown to us. You will submit to Empire authority immediately." Jake stepped forward. "I'm Captain Jake Morrison of the human exploration vessel. Wanderer. We're peaceful explorers from Earth. We mean no harm to you or your empire." Kethvar's black eyes narrowed. "Peaceful or not, you will obey Empire law. All species in this galaxy must follow our rules. You will hand over your ship's weapons and accept our technology limits. Your ship design is ... unusual. It must be inspected." "Technology limits?" Jake asked. "What do you mean?" "The Empire has ruled this galaxy for 3,000 years, Kethvar said. We maintain peace by making sure no species becomes too powerful. Your ship moves in ways that seem impossible. How do you make such tight turns? How do you accelerate so quickly?" Jake was confused. The Wanderer was just a normal human ship. It used fusion engines and artificial gravity like all human vessels. We use standard human technology. There's nothing special about it. "Impossible," Kethvar snapped. "No ship can maneuver like yours without breaking the laws of physics. You will surrender now, or we will take your ship by force." Jake looked at Amy. She was checking her instruments with a worried look on her face. "Captain," she whispered, "their ships are surrounding us. Energy readings are off the charts. They have weapons that could destroy us easily." "Admiral Kethvar," Jake said, "we're not looking for trouble. We just want to explore and maybe find new homes for our people. Can't we work something out?" "There is nothing to work out," Kethvar replied. "You will submit to Empire authority or be destroyed. You have 1 minute to decide." Jake's mind raced. The Wanderer wasn't a warship, but it was fast and agile. Human. Ships were built different from what these aliens seemed to expect. Maybe that could help them. "Amy, can we outrun them?" "Maybe, Captain. Their ships are powerful, but they look heavy. We might be able to get away if we're clever about it." Jake made his decision. "I'm sorry, Admiral, but humans don't surrender. To anyone. We'll find another way to work this out." Kethvar's face twisted with anger. "Then you will die. All ships open fire. Amy, evasive maneuvers." Jake shouted. The Wanderer suddenly dove downward, spinning as it moved. The alien ships fired, but their energy beams passed through empty space where the human ship had been. A second before. How did they do that? Jake heard one of the alien voices say over the open communication channel. Amy's fingers flew over her controls. The Wanderer twisted and turned between the alien ships like a fish swimming through rocks. The big alien vessels tried to follow, but they were too slow and clumsy. Their ship is impossible. Another alien voice cried, "It's moving too fast. It's changing direction too quickly." Jake grabbed his chair as the ship rolled sideways, dodging another energy beam. "Amy, can you get us out of here?" "Working on it, Captain." Amy was sweating as she pushed the ship to its limits. "I need 30 seconds to charge the jump drive." The Wanderer spun around one of the alien ships, using it as a shield while Amy worked. The aliens kept firing, but they seemed confused by the human ship's movements. 20 seconds. Amy called out another energy beam, passed close to the bridge. Jake could feel the heat through the ship's hull. These aliens had powerful weapons, but they couldn't hit what they couldn't predict. 10 seconds. The Wanderer suddenly shot straight up, away from the alien ships. Jake heard Admiral Kethfer's voice screaming orders at his fleet. "Fire everything. Don't let them escape." "Jump drive ready," Amy shouted. "Do it." The stars stretched into lines of light as the Wanderer jumped away from the alien fleet. When the light faded, they were alone in empty space. Jake sat down heavily in his captain's chair. "Amy, are you all right?" "Yes, Captain. That was too close." Amy was still working at her station. "I'm setting course for Earth. Command needs to know about this." Jake nodded. "Indeed they do. It looks like humans aren't alone in the galaxy after all." Back in the Zephyrian fleet, Admiral Kethfor stared at the empty space where the human ship had been. His officers were talking excitedly about what they had seen. "Admiral," his tactical officer said, "how did their ship move like that? It broke every rule we know about space combat." Kethfer's hands were shaking. In 3,000 years, no ship had ever escaped from a Zephyrian fleet. "I don't know. But we must report this to the Empire immediately. These humans, they have ships that shouldn't exist." The Admiral sent his report to the Empire's capital. World. Within hours, the message would reach the highest levels of Zephyrian command. The Empire had ruled the galaxy for millennia by making sure no species could challenge their power dot, but now there was a new species in the galaxy. A species with impossible ships and the will to fight back. The Zephyrian Empire was about to learn that humans were unlike any species they had ever encountered. Admiral Lisa Carter stood in the command center deep under the surface of Earth. The room was filled with screens showing star maps, ship movements, and intelligence reports. 3 days had passed since Captain Morrison's encounter with the alien. "Fleet, show me the report again," Lisa said to her aide. The main screen displayed Jake Morrison's face. He looked tired but determined. "Admiral, they called themselves the Zephyrian Empire. They've been ruling the galaxy for 3,000 years. They want to control our technology and make us follow their rules." Lisa frowned. "And they said our ships were impossible?" "Yes, ma'am." They seemed shocked by how the Wanderer moved. Their ships were bigger and more powerful, but they were slow and clumsy. They couldn't keep up with our maneuvers. Lisa turned to Dr. Pete Williams, the man who designed most of humanity's spaceships. Pete was a thin man with wild gray hair and thick glasses. He always looked like he hadn't slept in days. "Pete, what do you think? Why would they say our ships are impossible?" Pete scratched his head. "Well, Admiral, it sounds like they've been using the same ship designs for thousands of years. They probably think there's only one way to build a spaceship. But humans ... were different. Different how? We change things. We improve things. We take old ideas and make them better." Pete walked over to a model of a human ship on his desk. "Look at this. Human ships aren't just built. They're designed to be rebuilt. Every part can be changed or upgraded. Lisa was getting interested. Go on. Most alien species probably build their ships once and never change them. But humans are always tinkering, always improving. Our ships today are completely different from ships we built 10 years ago. Dr. Williams picked up a piece of the model. See this engine section? It can be removed and replaced in just a few hours. Same with the weapons, the shields, the life support systems. Everything is modular. What does that mean for us? Lisa asked. It means we can adapt. If we need faster ships, we can build faster. Engines. If we need better weapons, we can install them quickly. The aliens probably take months or years to upgrade their ships. We can do it in days. Lisa smiled. That's our advantage. But Pete, they said our ships moved in impossible ways. What did they mean? Pete's eyes lit up. Oh, that's the best part. Admiral, what do you know about human gravity generators? They create artificial gravity inside our ships so we don't float around. Right, but that's not all they do. Our gravity. Generators can create gravity fields outside the ship too. We can push and pull against space itself. That's how we make such tight turns and quick accelerations. Lisa was beginning to understand. The aliens don't have this technology? I don't think so. They probably use simple rocket engines and basic physics, but humans learn to bend gravity to our will. To them, it would look like magic. The Admiral walked to the window that looked out over the shipyard. Dozens of human vessels were being built or repaired. Pete, how long would it take to convert our exploration ships into warships? With our modular designs? Maybe a week for each ship. We just swap out the science equipment for weapons and armor. Do it. Convert every ship we have. And Pete? Yes, Admiral? I want you to design something new. Something that will really surprise these aliens. Pete grinned. I have some ideas. What about a ship that can phase in and out of normal space? Or one that can split into multiple parts during battle? Can you actually build things like that? Admiral, give me a month, and I'll build you ships that will make the aliens think humans are gods. Lisa nodded. You have your month. But first, we need to test our current ships against alien technology. She turned to Commander Ben Hayes, who had been listening quietly. Ben was young, but he was the best pilot in the human fleet. Ben, I'm putting you in command of the Defiant. It's our newest prototype warship. Ben straightened up. What are my orders, Admiral? Take the Defiant to the edge of our space. Find some alien ships and see what they can really do. But Ben, don't start a war. Just show them what human ships can do. Understood, Admiral. Lisa looked at her team. People were about to face an empire that has ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years. They have bigger ships, more weapons, and they outnumber us by millions to one. But they have one weakness. What's that, Admiral? Ben asked. They think they know everything about space combat. They think there's only one way to fight. But humans have never followed anyone else's rules. We make our own. Dr. Williams was already sketching new ship designs on his tablet. Admiral, what? If we built ships that look like asteroids? Or ships that can turn invisible? Or ships that can teleport? Can we actually do those things? I don't know yet, but I'm going to find out. Lisa smiled. That's what I like to hear. And when do you leave? The Defiant is ready now, Admiral. I can leave within the hour. Good. Remember, we're not trying to win a war yet. We're trying to learn about our enemy. And we're trying to show them that humans are not going to be easy to conquer. Ben saluted. Yes, ma'am. The aliens won't know what hit them. As Ben left to board his ship, Lisa looked at the star maps on the wall. Somewhere out there, an alien empire was preparing to crush humanity. They probably thought it would be easy. They probably thought humans were just another primitive species to be conquered. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The Defiant was different from the Wanderer. It was built for fighting, not exploring. It had new weapons, better shields, and engines that could make it move like a dancer in space. But most importantly, it had something the aliens had never seen before. Dr. Williams had installed his new stealth system. The ship could bend light around itself and become invisible. It could also mask its heat signature and energy readings. To alien sensors, the Defiant would look like empty space dot as Commander Hayes took his ship toward the edge of human space. He thought about what Admiral Carter had said. Humans didn't follow other people's rules. They made their own, the Zephyrian. Empire was about to discover that humans were the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Not because they were stronger or smarter than everyone else, but because they refused to accept limits in the alien capital world. Admiral Kethfer was giving his report to the Empire's high command. The leaders of the Zephyrian Empire sat in a great hall made of black stone. They had ruled the galaxy for so long that they had forgotten what it was like to be challenged. "You say their ship moved in impossible ways?" asked the Supreme Commander. "Yes, sir. It changed direction instantly. It accelerated beyond what should be possible. And it escaped from 5 of our best ships." The Supreme Commander was not impressed. "You let one small ship escape? Perhaps you are getting old, Kethfer." "Sir, with respect, this was not a normal ship. The humans have technology we don't understand. Impossible. We have studied every species in the galaxy. There is nothing new to learn about ship design." Kethfer wanted to argue, but he knew better. The Empire's leaders did not like to be contradicted. "What are your orders, sir?" "Take a full battle fleet to human space. Destroy their ships and conquer their worlds. Show them what happens when a species refuses to obey the Empire." "Yes, sir. How many ships should I take?" 100 should be enough. No species has ever required more than that." As Kethfer left the Great Hall, he felt uneasy. The Empire's leaders had not seen what he had seen. They had not watched a human ship dance between energy beams like. It was playing a game, but orders were orders. Kethfer would take his fleet and crush the humans. He just hoped it would be as easy as the Supreme Commander believed. The war between humanity and the Zephyrian Empire was about to begin, and neither side knew what they were really getting into. Captain Ryan Clark sat in the pilot's seat of the Ghost, watching the enemy fleet approach Kepler Station. The space station was humanity's newest colony, built around a small planet at the edge of human space. 20,000 people lived there, and now 100 alien warships are coming to destroy them. "Captain, the alien fleet will be in weapons range in 10 minutes, said Lieutenant Kate Miller from her position at the tactical station. Kate was young, but she was the best weapons. Officer Ryan had ever worked with. Ryan nodded. The Ghost was humanity's first stealth destroyer, built using Dr. Williams' new invisible technology. The ship was completely hidden from alien sensors. To them, it looked like empty space. "Are the other ships in position?" Ryan asked. "Yes, sir. The Phantom and the Shadow are on the other side of the fleet. The Whisper is above them. All ships are cloaked and ready." Ryan looked at the enemy fleet on his screen. The alien ships were massive, each one 10 times bigger than the Ghost. They had thick armor and powerful weapons. But they were slow and clumsy, just like the ships that had attacked the Wanderer. "Kate, what do you think? Can we take them?" Kate studied her instruments. "Captain, they have us outnumbered 25 to 1. But they can't see us, and they don't know we're here. If we hit them fast and hard, we might be able to scatter them." Ryan smiled. "That's what I like to hear. All ships, this is Ghost Leader. Wait for my signal." On the bridge of the alien flagship, Fleet Admiral Zethmer watched the human space station grow larger on his screen. He was the Empire's most experienced commander, and he had conquered dozens of worlds. This would be easy. "Admiral, we're picking up some strange readings," his tactical officer reported. "There seems to be some kind of interference in the area." Zethmer waved his hand dismissively. "Probably just solar radiation. Focus on the station. I want it destroyed in the first attack." "Yes, sir. All ships are ready to fire." "Good. Begin the attack." The alien fleet opened fire on Kepler Station. Hundreds of energy beams lanced through space toward the human colony. But the station's shields held. The humans had been expecting this attack. "Their shields are stronger than we thought," the tactical officer said. "It will take several minutes to break through." "Then we continue firing," Zethmer replied. "Keep." Suddenly, explosions erupted across the alien fleet. 3 of the massive warships were hit by weapons that seemed to come from nowhere. The ship's shields flickered and died. "Report," Zethmer shouted. "What's happening?" "Sir, we're under attack." "But I can't see who's shooting at us." On the Ghost, Ryan watched as his ship's weapons tore through the alien vessel's armor. The stealth system was working perfectly. The aliens had no idea where the attacks were coming from. "Kate, target their engines." "Let's see how well they fight when they can't move." "Target locked, Captain. Firing." The Ghost's weapons cut through the alien ship's engine section. The massive vessel began to spin out of control, crashing into another ship in the fleet. "Ghost. Leader to all ships," Ryan said into his communicator. "Attack pattern Alpha. Hit them hard and fast." The 4 human ships struck like ghosts in the night. They appeared from nowhere, fired their weapons, and disappeared again. The alien fleet was in chaos. "Sir, we've lost 6 ships." The tactical officer reported to Zethmer. "And I still can't see the attackers." Zethmer stared at his screen in disbelief. His ships were being destroyed by an enemy he couldn't see. "Impossible. No ship can be completely invisible." "Admiral, 2 more ships are down. They're hitting us from all sides." On the Ghost, Kate was tracking the enemy fleet's movements. "Captain, they're trying to form a defensive circle, but they're too slow. We can hit them before they get organized." "Do it. Target their command ship." Ryan piloted the Ghost through the alien fleet like a knife through butter. The ship twisted and turned between the enemy vessels, avoiding their desperate fire. The aliens were shooting at shadows. "Weapons locked on the flagship," Kate reported. "Fire." "Everything we have." The Ghost's weapons hit the alien flagship from 3 different angles. A massive ship's shields collapsed, and explosions rippled across its hull. On the alien flagship, Zethmer was thrown from his chair as his ship shook from the impact. Alarms were screaming, and sparks flew from damaged control panels. "Sir, we've lost main power. Weapons are down. Shield generators are offline." Zethmer struggled to his feet. "How is this possible?" "We're being attacked by ghosts." "Admiral, 15 more ships are reporting heavy damage." "The enemy's everywhere and nowhere at the same time." Zethmer looked at his screen and saw something that made his blood freeze. For just a moment, one of the attacking ships had become visible. It was small, maybe 1/10 the size of his own vessels. But it moved like a living thing, dancing between his ship's weapons as if it was playing a game. "Humans shouldn't have ships like that," he whispered. "Sir?" his tactical officer asked. "Nothing. Signal the fleet. We're retreating." "Admiral, we outnumber them 25 to 1. Surely we can look at the tactical display." Zethmer shouted. "We've lost 20 ships, and we haven't even damaged one of theirs. We're retreating before they destroy us all." On the Ghost, Ryan watched the alien fleet begin to pull back. "Kate, they're running. Should we pursue?" Kate checked her instruments. "Captain, We're low on ammunition, and the other ships are reporting similar problems. We've done enough damage for one day. Ryan nodded. All ships, let them go. We've made our point. As the alien fleet limped away from Kepler Station, Ryan opened a channel to the colony. Kepler Station, this is Captain Clark of the Ghost. The enemy fleet has been driven off. You're safe for now. The voice that answered was full of relief. Thank you, Captain. We thought we were done for. How did you do it? Ryan smiled. We showed them that humans don't fight fair. We fight smart. Later, as the Ghost docked at Kepler Station, Ryan met with the station commander. The man was still shaking from the battle. Captain, I've never seen anything like that. Your ships appeared and disappeared like magic. The aliens didn't know what hit them. That's the idea, Ryan replied. Admiral Carter wanted us to show the aliens that humans are not easy prey. I think we succeeded. What happens now? Now they go back to their empire and tell their leaders that humans have impossible ships. They'll be scared, confused, and angry. That's exactly what we want. Meanwhile, on the alien flagship, Zethmer was composing his report to the Empire's High Command. His hands were shaking as he wrote. The human ships moved in ways that defied all known laws of physics. They could become invisible, can strike from any direction. They outmaneuvered our best vessels, as if they were standing still. Our weapons could not touch them, but their weapons cut through our armor like paper. Zethmer paused and looked at the damage reports. 20 ships destroyed, 30 more heavily damaged. And the humans had only used 4 small vessels. He continued writing. The humans fought with tactics we have never seen before. They used stealth, speed, and cunning instead of brute force. Our traditional battle formations were useless against them. I recommend that we approach the human problem with extreme caution. As Zethmer sent his report to the Empire's capital, he thought about what he had witnessed. The Empire had conquered 1,000 worlds using the same tactics for 3,000 years. But the humans had changed everything in a single battle. The phrase echoed in his mind. Humans shouldn't have ships like that, but they did. And that changed everything. Back on Earth, Admiral Carter read the battle reports with satisfaction. The plan was working. The aliens were learning that humans were not like other species. They were unpredictable, innovative, and very dangerous. Dr. Williams, she said to the ship designer, how are the new prototypes coming along? Pete looked up from his work with a wild grin. Admiral, you won't believe what we've built. Ships that can phase through solid matter. Ships that can split into multiple parts during battle. Ships that can manipulate gravity itself as a weapon. Lisa Carter smiled. Perfect, because something tells me the aliens are going to come back. With everything they have, let them come, Pete said. We'll show them what human ingenuity can really do. The first battle was over, but the war was just beginning. And the Zephyrian Empire was about to learn that humans were the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Supreme Admiral Vextar stood in the war room of the Empire's greatest military base. He was old, even by Zephyrian standards, with scars from 100 battles across his gray skin. For 20 years, he had been retired, tending to his gardens, on his home world. But the news from the human front had brought him back to service. Show me the battle recordings again, he said to his staff. The holographic display showed the disaster at Kepler Station. Zethmer's mighty fleet, reduced to burning wreckage by invisible human ships. Vextar watched as the human vessels appeared and disappeared like ghosts, striking from impossible angles. How many ships did the humans use? He asked. 4, sir. 4 small vessels against our 100-ship fleet. Vextar was quiet for a long moment. And our losses? 20 ships destroyed, 30 heavily damaged. We inflicted no damage on the enemy. The old admiral closed his eyes. In 3,000 years of Empire history, such a defeat had never happened. The humans had done something that should have been impossible. Have our scientists learned anything from the wreckage? His chief scientist, a thin Zephyrian named Dr. Colvin, stepped forward. Sir, we've studied the weapon impacts on our ships. The humans use some kind of energy beam that can cut through our strongest armor. But that's not the strangest part. Go on. Sir, the humans seem to know exactly where to hit us. They targeted our engines, our power systems, our weapons. It was as if they had complete blueprints of our ships. Vextar frowned. Impossible. Our ship designs are closely guarded secrets, yes, sir. But the humans struck with surgical precision. They knew our weaknesses better than we do. Meanwhile, deep in human space, Captain Sam Foster was preparing for his most dangerous mission yet. The Viper was humanity's newest stealth ship, designed for deep strikes into enemy territory. Sam's job was to learn everything he could about the Empire's military capabilities. Captain, we're approaching the target system, reported his navigation officer. Long-range sensors show 3 Empire shipyards and a major fleet base. Sam nodded. Take us in slow and quiet. I want to see what they're building. The Viper slipped through the Empire's defenses like a shadow. The ship's stealth system was even more advanced than the Ghost's. It could hide from any sensor the Empire possessed. Captain, I'm seeing something interesting, said Lieutenant Grace Thompson, the ship's intelligence officer. Grace was small and quiet, but she had a genius-level intellect that made her perfect for spy work. What is it, Grace? Sir, they're tearing apart their own ships. Look at this. She pointed to her screen, which showed hundreds of Empire vessels being dismantled by work crews. Sam studied the display. Why would they destroy their own fleet? They're not destroying it, sir. They're trying to rebuild it. I'm detecting major modifications to their engines, weapons, and armor systems. They're trying to copy our technology. Yes, sir. But from what I can see, they're not having much success. Their ships are too rigid, too set in their design. They can't adapt like ours can. Sam smiled. That's their weakness. Dr. Williams designed our ships to be changed and upgraded. But the aliens have been using the same designs for thousands of years. They don't know how to innovate. The Viper moved deeper into the system, recording everything. Sam watched as the Empire's engineers struggled to understand human technology. They were trying to copy human weapons, but they didn't understand the principles behind them. Captain, I'm picking up a communication signal, Grace said. It's from the fleet base. They're talking about something called Project Impossible. Can you decode it? Already working on it, sir. It's a research program trying to figure out how human ships work. They're calling our technology impossible because it doesn't follow their understanding of physics. Sam laughed. They think we're breaking the laws of physics? Wait until they see what Dr. Williams has been building. Back on the Empire's capital world, Vextar was meeting with the Empire's highest leaders. The Council of Supremes sat in their ancient throne room, a place where the fate of the galaxy had been decided for millennia. Vextar, said the Prime Supreme, an incredibly old Zephyrian whose age was measured in centuries. You have read the reports? What is your assessment? Supremes, the humans represent a threat unlike any we have faced. They do not fight according to established rules. They use tactics and technology that our forces are not prepared for. Surely you exaggerate, said another Supreme. They are one young species. We are an empire of 1,000 worlds. With respect, Supreme, that is exactly the problem. We have been successful for so long that we have forgotten how to adapt. The humans are new to space warfare, so they approach it with fresh ideas. The Prime Supreme leaned forward. What do you recommend? We need to learn from them. We need to study their tactics and develop countermeasures. Most importantly, We need to understand that this will not be a quick or easy victory. Unacceptable, snapped a younger Supreme. The Empire does not learn from inferior species. We conquer them. Vexstar kept his voice calm. Supreme, with respect, the humans have already proven they are not inferior. They have technology we don't understand and tactics we can't counter. If we underestimate them, we will lose. Impossible. No single species can challenge the Empire. The humans are not like other species. They innovate constantly. They adapt to any situation, and they refuse to accept defeat. The council was quiet for a moment. Finally, the Prime Supreme spoke. Vexstar, you will take command of all military operations against the humans. You have unlimited resources and authority. But you must succeed. The Empire cannot afford to lose this war. I understand, Supreme, but I will need time to prepare. The humans will not wait for us to get ready. As if to prove his point, alarms began sounding throughout the capital. A young officer ran into the throne room, his face pale with fear. Supremes, forgive the interruption, but we have an emergency. The human ship we've been tracking, it's here. It's in our home system. The council erupted in shocked voices. Impossible. Our defenses are impenetrable. Show us, Vexstar commanded. Main display showed the Empire's home system. For a moment, it looked normal. Then, like a ghost materializing from thin air, a human ship appeared near the capital world's orbital defense platforms. It's been here the whole time, the officer whispered. We never saw it. Captain Foster's voice came over the communication system, calm and confident. Attention, Empire leadership. This is Captain Sam Foster of the human vessel Viper. We've been watching your shipyards, your fleet bases, and your research facilities. We know everything about your military capabilities. The Supreme Council sat frozen in their thrones. An enemy ship had penetrated to the heart of their empire without being detected. We're not here to attack, Foster continued. We're here to deliver a message. The human race will not submit to your empire. We will fight for our freedom using methods you cannot understand or counter. This is your only warning. The human ship vanished as suddenly as it had appeared, leaving the Empire's leaders staring at empty space. How? The Prime Supreme whispered. How did they get past our defenses? Vexstar stood up slowly. Supremes, this is what I was trying to tell you. The humans fight with technology and tactics that we cannot predict or counter. They can appear anywhere, strike without warning, and disappear before we can respond. What do? We prepare for a war unlike any we have ever fought. The humans have shown us that they can reach us anywhere, anytime. We are no longer safe in our own territory. Back on the Viper, Sam Foster was pleased with the mission's success. They had gathered crucial intelligence about the Empire's military capabilities and delivered a clear message about human determination. Captain, Grace said, I'm analyzing the data we collected. The Empire is trying to modernize their fleet, but they're failing. They don't understand how to build modular ships like ours. What about their research into our technology? They're calling it impossible physics because they can't figure out how our gravity manipulation works. They think we're using some kind of magic. Sam smiled. In a way, we are. Dr. Williams' designs are so advanced that they might as well be magic to the aliens. Sir, there's something else. I intercepted communications between their military leaders. They're scared. Really? Scared. Some of them are talking about negotiating with us instead of fighting. And the others? The others want to throw everything they have at us. They're talking about using their entire fleet, millions of ships, to crush humanity once and for all. Sam's expression grew serious. Then we need to get this information back to Admiral Carter. The Empire is going to make their final move soon. As the Viper began its journey back to human space, Grace continued studying the intercepted data. Captain, they keep using one phrase in their communications. Every time they talk about our ships, they say, humans shouldn't have ships like that. They're right, Sam replied. We shouldn't have ships like ours, according to their understanding of technology. But that's exactly why we're going to win. We don't follow their rules. On the Empire's capital world, Vextar was already planning his response to the human threat. He had called together the Empire's best military minds, but he knew it might not be enough. Generals, he said to the assembled officers, we face an enemy that can appear anywhere without warning. They can see you. Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Liberator, humanity's newest and most advanced warship. 6 months had passed since he had escaped from Admiral Kethfor's fleet in the Wanderer. Now he was leading the entire human fleet into the final battle of the war. Admiral, long-range sensors are picking up the Empire fleet, reported Captain Amy Brooks, who now served as his second-in-command. It's bigger than anything we've ever seen. Jake looked at the tactical display and felt his breath catch. The Empire had brought 10,000 ships to this battle. Every vessel they possessed, from their massive dreadnoughts to their smallest patrol craft. It was the largest fleet in galactic history. How many ships do we have, Amy? 200. Sir, our entire battle fleet. Jake smiled grimly. 50 to 1 odds. The Empire really wants to make sure they win this time. Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the Empire flagship. Put it on screen. The ancient face of Emperor Kol Theran appeared on the main display. Jake had never seen the Empire's supreme ruler before. The alien looked impossibly old, with eyes that had seen millennia of conquest. I am Emperor Kol Theran of the Zephyrian Empire, the alien said in a voice like grinding stone. You will surrender immediately and submit to Empire authority. This is your final chance to avoid total destruction. Jake stepped forward. I'm Admiral Jake Morrison of the Human Defense Fleet. We've been through this before, Emperor. Humans don't surrender. Then you will all die. I have brought every ship in the Empire to this battle. You are outnumbered 50 to 1. Your impossible ships cannot save you from such overwhelming force. We'll see about that, Emperor. Humans have a saying. It's not the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the dog. The Emperor's expression didn't change. Your sayings will not help you now. All ships, attack formation. Destroy the human fleet. The transmission ended, and Jake turned to his crew. Amy, signal all ships. It's time to show the Empire what Dr. Williams has been building. Yes, sir. All ships report ready. Jake took a deep breath. Then let's begin. Activate the new systems. Around the human fleet, space itself began to change. Ships that had been visible suddenly vanished, becoming invisible to all sensors. Other ships seemed to split apart, turning from one vessel into 5 smaller ones. Still others began to glow with an eerie light as they charged their new weapons. On the Empire flagship, Emperor Kol Theran watched in growing horror as the human fleet transformed before his eyes. What is happening? Where did their ships go? Sir? They're still there, but our sensors can't track them, his tactical officer reported. And some of their ships appear to be multiplying. Impossible. Ships cannot multiply. Sir, the humans have ships that phase in and out of normal space. Ships that can split into multiple parts. Ships that can manipulate gravity itself as a weapon. The Emperor felt something he had not experienced in 1,000 years. Fear. How is this possible? I don't know, sir, but the human fleet is approaching. They're moving in ways that defy physics. Admiral Jake Morrison smiled as he watched the Empire fleet's confusion on his tactical display. Dr. Williams had outdone himself. The new human ships used technology that seemed like magic to the aliens. Amy, begin the attack. Pattern Omega. Yes, sir. All ships, execute Pattern Omega. The human fleet struck like lightning from a clear sky. Ships appeared from nowhere, fired devastating weapons, and vanished again. The Empire's massive vessels found themselves under attack from enemies they couldn't see or predict. Focus fire on the human flagship. Emperor Koltharan commanded. Destroy their leader. But the Liberator was no longer where it had been a moment before. The ship had used its new phasing technology to slip through normal space like a ghost. When it reappeared, it was behind the Empire's battle line. Target the Emperor's ship, Jake ordered. Let's end this war. The Liberator's weapons were unlike anything that had ever been built. They used focused gravity fields to tear apart enemy ships at the molecular level. When they struck the Empire flagship, the massive vessel simply came apart like it was made. Of Sand. Emperor Koltharan had just enough time to whisper, "Humans shouldn't have ships like that," before his ship was destroyed. With their emperor dead, the Empire fleet began to panic. Ships fled in all directions, but there was nowhere to run. The human vessels were everywhere and nowhere, striking from impossible angles. "Sir, the Empire fleet is breaking apart," Amy reported. "They're trying to retreat, but our ships are too fast." "Let them go, Amy. We've made our point." Jake opened a communication channel to the entire Empire fleet. "Attention, Empire forces. Your Emperor is dead. Your fleet is defeated, but we're not here to conquer you. We're here to free you. On one of the surviving Empire ships, Admiral." Vexstar listened to the human transmission with amazement. He had expected to die in this battle, but the humans were offering mercy. "We know that many of you have been forced to serve the Empire," Jake continued. "We know that your leaders have kept you from advancing, from growing, from becoming what you could be. That ends today. The Zephyrian Empire is finished. But that doesn't mean your civilizations have to be. We're offering you a choice. Join. Use in building a new galactic community based on freedom and innovation. Or go your own way in peace. The choice is yours." Admiral Vexstar was the first to respond. "Human Admiral, this is Vexstar of the former Empire fleet. We accept your offer. We have seen what your ships can do. We have seen what innovation and freedom can accomplish. We want to learn." One by one, the surviving Empire ships signaled their surrender. Not surrender to a conqueror, but surrender to a new way of thinking. Dr. Pete Williams, watching from his laboratory ship, was amazed by his own creations. The new human vessels had performed beyond his wildest dreams. Ships that could phase through matter. Ships that could split and recombine. Ships that could manipulate the very fabric of space itself. "Admiral Carter," he said into his communicator, "the new ships worked perfectly. The aliens couldn't even understand what they were seeing." Admiral Lisa Carter's voice came back full of satisfaction. "Excellent work. Pete, what's the status?" "Of the fleet? Minimal damage, Admiral. The Empire couldn't touch us. Their weapons were designed to fight conventional ships, not ships that can exist in multiple dimensions at once. And the aliens? They're calling our technology impossible. Just like always. But some of them want to learn. I think we might be able to teach them." Back on the Liberator, Jake was receiving reports from across the battlefield. The Empire's fleet was scattered, their command structure destroyed, and their will to fight broken. "Amy, what's our casualty report?" "Incredibly light, sir. We lost 3 ships, and they were evacuated before destruction. Total human casualties, 0. Jake shook his head in amazement. 0 casualties in the biggest space battle in galactic history. Dr. Williams really has created miracle ships. "Sir, we're receiving messages from Empire worlds across the galaxy. They're asking about the new galactic community you mentioned." They want to know if the offer is real. It's real, Amy. Send out the message. Any species that wants to join us is welcome. But they have to agree to our principles. Freedom to innovate, freedom to grow, and freedom to choose their own destiny. As news of the Empire's defeat spread across the galaxy, something unprecedented happened. Species that had been oppressed for millennia began to throw off their chains. The rigid order that had ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years crumbled in a matter of days. On Earth, the news was received with celebration. Humanity had not only survived their first contact with aliens, they had liberated an entire galaxy. Dr. Williams was already working on new ship designs. "Admiral Carter," he said, "now that we don't have to worry about the Empire, I can really let my imagination run wild. What about ships that can travel through time? Or ships that can create their own pocket universes?" Lisa Carter laughed. "Pete, I think you've scared the aliens enough for one war. Maybe we should focus on building instead of destroying." "Good point. I have some ideas for ships that can terraform planets in days instead of centuries. And ships that can carry entire cities through space." Now that sounds more like it. A year later, the galaxy was a very different place. The new Galactic Federation included hundreds of species, all working together to explore and build. The old restrictions on technology were gone, replaced by a spirit of innovation and cooperation. Admiral Jake Morrison, now serving as the Federation's first president, often thought about how it all began. A simple exploration mission that led to humanity changing the course of galactic history. You know what the funniest part is? He said to Amy Brooks one day, as they watched construction of the Federation's new capital station. "What's that, sir?" "The aliens kept saying humans shouldn't have ships like that. They were right. We shouldn't have had ships like that, according to their understanding of technology. But we did anyway, because humans don't let anyone else tell us what's possible." Amy smiled. "And now they're building ships like ours." Every species in the Federation is innovating again, creating new technologies, pushing the boundaries of what's possible. That's the real victory, Amy. Not that we won the war, but that we showed the galaxy there's always a better way. There's always room to grow, to improve, to become something more. Across the gal.
Earth issued one warning. The Galactic Empire didn't listen. The stars looked different from the observation deck of the EDF Defiant. Admiral William Carter noticed it every time he stood here. After 30 years in Earth's defense force, he still felt small beneath the vast sea of lights. He placed his weathered hands on the rail and took a deep breath. The calm before the storm. "Admiral, we've detected unusual activity at the edge of the solar system," said Lieutenant Susan Reed as she approached. Her normally steady voice carried a hint of concern. Carter nodded. "Show me." They walked together to the command center, their footsteps echoing through the corridors of Earth's flagship. The Defiant represented humanity's best technology, a marvel of engineering that had taken 15 years to build. Yet Carter knew that in the vastness of space, even their greatest achievements might seem primitive to other civilizations. The command center buzzed with activity. Officers moved with purpose between stations, their faces tense but focused. On the main screen, a cluster of unusual energy signatures pulsed at the edge of Pluto's orbit. "They appeared 20 minutes ago, sir," said Communications Officer Greg Howard. "Nothing like we've ever seen before." "Numbers?" asked Carter. "Over 300 vessels, sir. The smallest ones are about the size of our largest carriers." The room fell silent. Earth had 12 carriers in total. "Are they responding to our signals?" Carter asked. "No, sir. But they're moving toward us. Slowly, but with clear intent." Carter stood straight, his mind racing through possible scenarios. He had trained for first contact, but not for first contact with a fleet of this size. The implications were clear. This was not a peaceful exploratory mission. "Alert all Earth Defense Force ships. I want every available vessel ready for deployment within the hour, he ordered, and get me a direct line to the World Council. As the officers carried out his commands, Carter studied the approaching fleet. Their formation suggested military discipline. The way they moved, their coordination, implied a species that had mastered interstellar travel long ago. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the largest vessel," Reed announced. "On screen," Carter said, adjusting his uniform. The screen flickered before revealing a creature unlike anything Carter had seen before. It stood tall, at least 7 feet, with a hard, chitinous exoskeleton. Multiple eyes blinked independently across its face, and when it spoke, mandibles clicked around a mouth filled with teeth. "Greetings, inhabitants of the third planet," the creature said in perfect English. "I am Admiral Zex Trawl of the Galactic Hegemony. Your world has been noticed by our scouts and deemed suitable for inclusion in our empire." Carter kept his expression neutral. "This is Admiral William Carter of Earth's Defense Force. We welcome peaceful contact with other civilizations, but we do not recognize any claim of authority over our planet." The alien's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. "Your recognition is not required, Admiral Carter. The hegemony has incorporated 10,000 worlds into our collective. Your species will benefit from our protection and guidance." "Earth is not seeking protection or guidance," Carter replied firmly. "We are a sovereign world with our own path. A path that will now merge with ours," Zextral stated. "We have studied your world for some time. Your technology is primitive. Your military capabilities are limited. Resistance would only lead to unnecessary damage to your infrastructure and population." Carter felt a cold anger rising within him. The casual dismissal of humanity reminded him of history lessons, of conquerors who viewed native populations as simple obstacles to overcome. "How long have you been watching us?" he asked. "Long enough to understand your limitations," the alien responded. "We know of your internal conflicts, your resource challenges, your slow progress toward the stars. The hegemony will accelerate your development, under proper supervision, of course." Officer Howard leaned close to Carter and whispered, "Sir, we're detecting energy buildups in their fleet. They're activating weapon systems." Carter gave a slight nod before addressing the alien again. "The people of Earth have fought long and hard for their freedom, Admiral Zextral. We have no interest in becoming anyone's subjects." "It is not a matter of interest, Admiral. It is inevitable. We offer 2 paths: peaceful integration as a protectorate with minimal oversight, or resistance followed by direct occupation. The outcome is the same, only the cost differs." Carter noticed how the alien spoke. Not with malice, but with the absolute certainty of someone who had never faced real opposition. The hegemony had conquered 10,000 worlds. Why would Earth be any different? "How much time do we have to consider these options?" Carter asked. "Your species has 24 Earth hours to accept our generous terms," Zextral replied. "When we next speak, I expect your world leaders to be present with their declaration of submission." Carter felt the eyes of his crew upon him. In their faces he saw not fear, but resolve. Humans had always been at their best when faced with impossible odds. "We will convey your message to Earth's leadership," Carter said carefully. "But I must warn you, Admiral Zextral, humans don't respond well to threats." "A warning? Your species amuses me, human." The alien's laughter echoed through the bridge. "Your primitive technology and limited numbers make you insignificant. We have conquered 10,000 worlds. Earth issues one warning to your empire," Carter said, his voice steady and clear. "Leave our system now." The alien commander's multiple eyes blinked in what might have been surprise before narrowing. "You have 24 hours, Admiral. Use them wisely." The transmission ended. Carter turned to his officers who awaited his orders. "Contact Earth immediately. Activate Protocol Omega." "Protocol Omega, sir?" Reed asked, her eyes widening. "But that's only meant for exactly this scenario," Carter finished. "They believe they know us. They think they understand what we're capable of." He looked back at the screen where the alien fleet loomed. "They have no idea what humanity does when backed into a corner. As the Defiant's quantum communications array sent its coded message to Earth, Carter returned to the observation deck. The stars still looked different from up here, but now they carried a new meaning. Among those distant points of light were 10,000 conquered worlds, 10,000 civilizations that had faced the hegemony and fallen. Earth would not be the 10,001st. They had their chance, he whispered to the stars. Below him, throughout the ship and across the solar system, humanity's true defenses began to awaken from their careful disguise. The hegemony would soon learn why Earth had issued only one warning. Earth issued one warning: the Galactic Empire didn't listen. In the hegemony's command vessel, High Commander Velnax received reports of strange energy patterns coming from Earth's orbital installations. The massive ship, nearly 5 miles long, dwarfed anything humans had ever built. Its central command chamber hummed with activity as hundreds of officers monitored the primitive planet they were about to claim. "What do you make of these readings?" Velnax asked his science officer, pushing a data pad across the smooth metallic surface between them. Science Officer Krulak studied the information, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence. "Likely their primitive defenses powering up," he said with a dismissive click of his mandibles. "Nothing concerning. Their technology is centuries behind ours." Velnax nodded, satisfied with this explanation. In his 200 years of service to the hegemony, he had overseen the conquest of 17 worlds. None had offered meaningful resistance. Some had tried to fight, usually the younger species who hadn't yet learned the futility of opposing the hegemony. Their struggles always ended the same way. "Has Admiral Zexatral made contact with their leaders?" he asked. "Yes, Commander. He spoke with one of their military officials. As expected, they made empty threats before requesting time to consider our terms." Velnax made a sound that passed for laughter among his kind. "They always do. Have we identified their planet's key defense installations?" "Yes, Commander. Their primitive satellites were easy to access. We have mapped all major military facilities, power plants, and government centers. Our first strike will disable their command capabilities within minutes." "Good. Prepare the fleet for possible deployment. When their time expires, I want to be ready to demonstrate our power." As the hegemony forces positioned themselves for what they expected to be a simple show of force, followed by a quick surrender, they failed to notice something important. The humans weren't behaving like other species they had conquered. There was no panic, no frantic military movements, no desperate last-minute attempts at diplomacy. On Earth, Dr. Olivia Mason stood in a vast underground facility beneath the Rocky Mountains. The room around her contained no weapons in the traditional sense, no missiles, no gun batteries, no fighter craft. Instead, rows of quantum processors lined the walls, connected to a network that spread throughout the solar system. "Status report," she said to her team of scientists and engineers. "Protocol Omega is at 97% activation," replied her assistant, Paul Wright. His fingers moved rapidly across multiple screens. "All orbital platforms are synchronized. The Jupiter and Saturn defense grids are online." Mason nodded, checking her own terminal. What the hegemony didn't understand, couldn't understand, was humanity's unique development path. While other species focused on building bigger ships with more powerful weapons, humans had been forced to innovate differently after nearly destroying themselves a century earlier. "They expect us to fight the way they do," Mason said quietly. "That's why we'll win." The quantum entanglement network that secretly connected every human settlement, from Earth to Mars to the mining colonies on Europa, hummed to life. Unlike conventional communications that the hegemony could easily intercept and jam, this network operated on principles that the aliens had never mastered. "All stations report ready," Wright announced, waiting for the signal from Admiral Carter. Mason watched the countdown on her screen. The aliens had given Earth 24 hours. Admiral Carter would use every minute of that time to ensure all systems were prepared. "Do you think they'll actually leave if we show them what we can do?" asked Wright. Mason shook her head. "They've conquered 10,000 worlds, Paul. Their empire spans half the galaxy. They don't know how to back down." She looked up at the massive display showing the alien fleet. "They had their chance to leave peacefully, Aboard the EDF Defiant, Admiral Carter received confirmation that Protocol Omega was fully activated. Earth's true defenses were ready. He turned to Lieutenant Reed, who stood at attention nearby. "Open a channel to Admiral Zexitral," he ordered. The alien's face appeared on screen moments later. "Your time is up, human. What is your answer?" "We decline your offer," Carter said simply. "Earth will remain free." The alien commander's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of agitation. "Then you choose the hard path. Remember, the destruction that follows is of your own making." "Actually," Carter replied, "I was about to say the same to you. You were warned to leave our system." For the first time, uncertainty flickered across the alien's features. "You cannot seriously believe your primitive species can stand against the might of the hegemony." Carter allowed himself a small smile. "We don't intend to stand against you, Admiral. We intend to show you why humans don't make threats. We only issue warnings. Once." He cut the transmission and turned to his crew. "Initiate first phase." Throughout the solar system, devices that had appeared to be simple research stations or communication relays began to change. On Mars, massive hangar doors hidden beneath the red soil slid open. In the asteroid belt, mining operations transformed into weapons platforms. Even on Earth's moon, structures that had been disguised as scientific outposts revealed their true purpose. In the hegemony fleet, alarms began to sound. "Commander," a junior officer called out with panic in his voice, "we're detecting unusual energy signatures throughout the system." Velnax moved quickly to the main tactical display. "Explain." "The readings are impossible," the officer stammered. "The energy levels are beyond anything in our database." "Show me," Velnax demanded. The display changed to show Earth and its surrounding space. Where moments before there had been only a primitive defense network, now there were energy signatures blooming everywhere. From the planet's surface, from its moon, from Mars, from Jupiter's moons, even from what appeared to be empty space. "How could we have missed this?" Velnax whispered. Science Officer Krulak studied the readings with growing alarm. They concealed their true technology level. "But this is impossible. No species develops this way." But humans had. After nearly destroying themselves in wars using conventional weapons, humanity had taken a different path. They didn't build massive fleets or planet-destroying bombs. Instead, they had learned to manipulate the fabric of reality itself. As the hegemony fleet moved into position for what they expected to be a simple occupation, their sensors detected nothing unusual until it was too late. Their arrogance had blinded them to the simple fact: humans didn't fight like other species. The first indication that something was very wrong came when 3 hegemony dreadnoughts simply vanished from space. "No explosions, no debris, just gone in an instant." "Impossible," Velnax roared as the tactical display showed 3 massive gaps in their formation. "Scan the sector again." But the officer at the scanner could only shake his head in confusion. "They're gone, Commander. And we're detecting more energy buildups throughout the system." Velnax realized too late that the humans had not been bluffing. They had issued one warning, and the Galactic Empire hadn't listened. Now they would. Learn why that had been a terrible mistake. Earth issued one warning. The Galactic Empire didn't listen on the bridge of the human ship Challenger, now cloaked by technology the hegemony couldn't detect. Captain Alan Rodriguez watched the confusion spread through the enemy fleet. His vessel was positioned less than 10 miles from the hegemony command ship, yet completely invisible to their sensors. "Gravitational fold successful, Captain," his science officer, Dr. Diane Wells, reported. Her fingers danced across the control panel as data streamed in. "The captured ships are being pulled into the fold space now. Our teams are ready to begin analysis." Rodriguez nodded, his expression calm despite the enormity of what they had just accomplished. 3 massive alien warships had been removed from normal space without firing a single conventional weapon. The vessels and their crews were intact, merely relocated. "Begin Phase 2, he ordered. "And patch me through to Admiral Carter." The main screen flickered to show the Admiral's face. Behind him, the bridge of the Defiant was a hive of coordinated activity. Phase 1 complete, sir, Rodriguez reported. The fold generators performed beyond expectations. The hegemony ships are contained in the Jupiter pocket dimension. Carter's serious expression broke into a slight smile. Excellent work, Captain. Their reaction? Complete confusion, sir. They're scanning wildly but finding nothing. Their formation is breaking down as ships attempt to avoid whatever happened. To the others. Perfect. All ships proceed with Phase 2. Throughout the solar system, humanity's hidden defenses activated. Not the conventional weapons the hegemony had expected, not missiles or laser arrays or fighter squadrons, but something far more dangerous. Weaponized physics. Centuries earlier, when humans had nearly destroyed themselves in global wars, they had made a collective decision. Rather than building ever larger weapons, they would develop technologies that could control the fabric of reality itself. While other species focused on bigger ships and stronger armor, humans had quietly mastered quantum mechanics, gravity, manipulation, and dimensional engineering. The warning had been genuine. Humanity hadn't spent its resources building a fleet to match the hegemony. They'd been mastering the fundamental forces of the universe. In the asteroid belt, a small station that had appeared to be a simple mining operation now revealed its true purpose. The device inside generated a controlled quantum field that affected matter at its most basic level, causing atomic bonds to temporarily weaken. A wave of energy, invisible to normal sensors, rippled outward. As it passed through 5 hegemony cruisers, their hull plating simply lost cohesion. The metal didn't melt or explode, it simply fell apart into its component atoms. The ship's atmospheres vented instantly into space, leaving the vessels dead and drifting. Near Mars, another human installation activated. This one created a localized singularity, a tiny controlled black hole that appeared in the center of Io, a hegemony carrier group. 7 ships were caught in its gravitational pull, crushed beyond recognition before the singularity collapsed back into nothing, leaving only twisted debris behind. And perhaps most terrifying of all, the nanite swarms, deployed from Earth's lunar bases. Developed from humanity's deep understanding of microscopic systems, an evolution of what had once been called viruses and bacteria, these intelligent machines were too small to be detected by hegemony sensors. They attached themselves to enemy ship hulls, then burrowed inside, multiplying and spreading. Within minutes, they reached critical systems, reconfiguring alien technology from within. The first sign of their work came when 6 hegemony destroyers suddenly turned their weapons on their own fleet, their systems now under human control. On the hegemony command ship, panic had replaced confidence. Velnax struggled to make sense of the reports flooding in from all directions. "We've lost contact with the 3rd battle group," an officer shouted, "and the 7th Hunter Division is firing on our own ships." "How is this possible?" Velnax demanded. "Where are these attacks coming from?" Science Officer Krulax stared at his readings in disbelief. "Commander, these aren't conventional attacks. The humans are somehow manipulating reality itself. These energy signatures don't match anything in our records." "Impossible. No species developed such technology without first mastering basic space warfare." "The humans did," Krulax replied, his voice shaking. "They took a different path. While we built bigger ships and stronger weapons, they learned to control the forces that govern the universe." On the main screen, they watched as another group of their ships simply vanished, pulled into what the sensors identified as a localized spatial anomaly. "We need to retreat," Krulax urged. "We cannot fight an enemy that controls space itself." Velnax hesitated. In 2 centuries of service, he had never ordered a retreat. The hegemony did not retreat. They conquered. They ruled. They were the supreme power in the galaxy. But as he watched his mighty fleet being systematically dismantled by an enemy they couldn't even see, he realized they had made a terrible mistake. This primitive species was anything but primitive. "Order all remaining ships to fall back beyond this system's outer boundary," he commanded. Now, but the order came too late. As his communications officer attempted to relay the command, the ship's systems suddenly failed. Every screen went dark, then reactivated with unfamiliar symbols scrolling across them. "We're being taken over," Krulak said in horror. Something is in our systems. A face appeared on the main screen, a human female wearing what appeared to be a scientific uniform rather than military garb. This is Dr. Olivia Mason of Earth, she said calmly. Your ship's systems are now under our control. Please remain calm. No harm will come to your crew if you cooperate. Felnak stood frozen, unable to comprehend how quickly their certain victory had turned to complete defeat. How? He finally managed to ask. How did your species develop such technology without being noticed? The human woman's expression remained neutral. We learned long ago that true advancement doesn't come from building bigger weapons, but from deeper understanding of the universe itself. While your empire conquered through brute force, we studied the fabric of reality. On Earth, Admiral Carter received reports of the battle's progress. Within just 2 hours, over half the hegemony fleet had been neutralized. Some ships were captured intact, others were disabled. Some had been destroyed when they resisted too strongly. Sir, Lieutenant Reed reported, the remaining enemy vessels are attempting to flee the system. Carter considered this. The human forces could stop them all if they wished. Their fold generators and quantum disruptors could reach the edge of the solar system. Not a single alien ship would escape if he gave the order. But that wasn't the point of this demonstration. Let some of them go, he ordered. The hegemony needs survivors to carry our message back to their empire. And what message is that, sir? Reed asked. Carter turned to look at the tactical display, where the once mighty alien fleet was now in disarray. The same one we gave them at the start, he said quietly. Earth issues one warning. They chose not to listen. Now they understand why we only needed to warn them once. Earth issued one warning. The Galactic Empire didn't listen. The battle lasted less than 6 hours. In the great Imperial Palace on Zexitora, the hegemony's central administrative world, Empress Kavex received the impossible news. The mighty invasion, fleet that she had personally authorized to bring the insignificant blue planet into their empire, had been not just defeated but utterly dismantled. This cannot be, she hissed, her clawed hands gripping the ornate throne. Around her, royal advisors and military commanders stood in stunned silence. The report must be flawed. Grand Strategist Zelmach stepped forward, his normally confident posture now hunched with worry. The report is accurate, Your Eminence. The survivors have confirmed it. The humans possess technology far beyond our understanding. They did not fight as we expected. How many ships returned? The Empress demanded. Zelmach hesitated before answering. 17, Your Eminence, out of 342. The throne room fell silent. The hegemony had not suffered such a defeat in over 1,000 years. Send the second wave immediately, Kavex ordered, her voice rising with anger. Double the fleet size. They cannot stand against our full might. Her advisor stepped forward cautiously. Your Eminence, I must strongly advise against this action. The second wave has already been dispatched as per standard protocol when the first wave missed its check-in, but we've lost contact with those ships as well. The Empress rose from her throne, rage and disbelief warring on her features. Impossible. How could this primitive species... There's more, the advisor interrupted. A breach of protocol that showed the gravity of the situation. We're receiving reports of unknown vessels appearing in multiple systems throughout the Empire. They've bypassed all our defenses. On one such vessel, the EDF Retribution, Commander Nicole Foster addressed her crew. The ship had appeared in orbit around a hegemony military outpost in a system 50 light-years from Earth, a distance that should have been impossible to cross in mere hours. The hegemony gave us no choice, she told her crew as they prepared for their mission. Today we demonstrate why Earth's warning should have been heeded. The Retribution was one of 30 Earth ships deployed throughout hegemony space. Each carried the same quantum fold generators that had allowed them to essentially step outside normal space and reappear anywhere they chose. The technology made traditional concepts of distance meaningless. Target their weapons platforms only, Foster ordered. Minimal casualties. This is a demonstration, not a slaughter. Her weapons officer nodded, activating the ship's quantum disruptors. Beams of energy that could temporarily alter the atomic structure of matter shot out, precisely hitting the outpost's defense systems. Gun emplacements simply fell apart. Shield generators dissolved into their component atoms. Within minutes, the outpost was defenseless. Foster opened a channel to the hegemony commander. "This is Commander Nicole Foster of Earth. Your defenses have been neutralized. We have no desire to harm your people. This demonstration is to show that we can reach any part of your empire at will." Throughout hegemony space, similar scenes played out. Human ships appeared without warning, neutralized military targets with surgical precision, and broadcast the same message. Earth wanted peace, but would not tolerate threats. Meanwhile, on Omai, conquered worlds across the galaxy, something else was happening. For decades, humans had quietly established a presence throughout the galaxy. Disguised as traders, diplomats, and observers, they had been assessing the hegemony while preparing for eventual contact. On Velnar, a world conquered by the hegemony, a century earlier, human agent Jack Miller removed his holographic disguise. For 5 years, he had posed as a member of the native species, gathering intelligence and building a network of allies among those who chafed under hegemony rule. "It's time," he told the gathered resistance leaders. "Earth has engaged the hegemony directly. We can now offer you what we promised: freedom." Similar scenes occurred on dozens of worlds. Human agents revealed themselves, offering liberation to oppressed species. They brought with them technology that could neutralize hegemony control, systems and weapons that could counter imperial forces. Back on Earth, Dr. Mason monitored these developments from her command center beneath the Rocky Mountains. The quantum entanglement network allowed instant communication across any distance, another technology the hegemony had never developed. "Phase 3 is proceeding as planned," she reported to Admiral Carter. "Our embedded agents are active on 27 worlds. The hegemony's control systems are being neutralized." Carter nodded, studying the holographic display that showed activities across the galaxy. "And the Empress? Has she responded to our message?" "Not yet. But her options are limited. Our ships have demonstrated they can reach her homeworld at any time." On Zexatora, the Imperial Palace was in chaos. Reports flooded in from across the Empire, human ships appearing and disappearing at will, military installations neutralized without warning, and most disturbing of all, subject worlds rising up against their rulers. "How is this happening?" the Empress demanded. "How could a single primitive world threaten our entire empire?" Grand Strategist Zelmach had no answer. The hegemony had always believed their greatest strength was their ability to project military power across vast distances. No other species had been able to match their faster-than-light technology or their massive fleet numbers, but the humans had simply made those advantages irrelevant. They didn't need vast fleets when they could appear anywhere instantly. They didn't need massive weapons when they could manipulate matter at its most fundamental level. "Your Eminence," the royal communicator announced, "we're receiving a transmission from Earth. They wish to speak directly with you." The Empress straightened her posture, trying to regain her composure. "Put it through." Admiral Carter's face appeared on the palace's central display. He wore no ornate uniform or symbols of rank, beyond a simple insignia. Nothing like the elaborate dress of hegemony commanders. "Empress Kavex," he said, his voice calm but firm. "I am Admiral William Carter of Earth." "You dare," the Empress began, but Carter continued speaking. "We did not seek this conflict. We issued one warning to your forces. They chose not to listen. Now we demonstrate why that warning was sufficient." "What do you want?" the Empress asked, her voice now subdued. "Peace," Carter replied, "but on equal terms. The days of your empire's unchecked expansion are over. Earth proposes a new relationship between our civilizations and with all the worlds you've conquered." The message was clear. The hegemony's era of dominance had ended the moment they had ignored Earth's single warning. A new power had emerged in the galaxy, one that did not seek to conquer but would not be conquered, and they had only needed to warn once. Earth issued one warning: the Galactic Empire, didn't listen 1 month after the first contact with the hegemony. Admiral William Carter stood before the newly formed Galactic Council. The massive circular chamber had been built on a neutral space, station orbiting a star at the edge of what had once been hegemony territory. Representatives from over 200 worlds filled the room, some former hegemony subjects, others independent species who had watched the conflict with great interest. Carter wore his formal uniform, but it remained simple compared to the elaborate dress of many alien representatives. At his side stood Dr. Olivia Mason and Keith Bennett, Earth's chief diplomat. "The people of Earth thank you for coming," Carter began, his voice carrying through the chamber. "1 month ago, most of us were strangers. Some of you lived under hegemony rule. Others feared you would be next. Today, we meet as equals." The chamber remained silent, all eyes fixed on the human who represented the species that had somehow defeated the supposedly invincible hegemony. "Humanity doesn't seek to replace one empire with another," he continued. "We propose a federation of equals, with each species maintaining their sovereignty while contributing to our collective defense and prosperity." A tall, slender alien with iridescent skin rose from the delegation representing former hegemony worlds. This was Ambassador Shinlor, once a high-ranking imperial official who had quickly adjusted to the new reality. "Admiral Carter," the alien said, voice smooth and measured, "your species has demonstrated power beyond anything we have seen in 10,000 years of galactic history. Why should we believe you won't simply become the new hegemony?" It was a fair question. In the audience, Keith Bennett watched the reactions spread through the gathered species. The once mighty hegemony representatives sat in a small section, their numbers reduced, their power broken. Around them, former subject worlds and independent species regarded the humans with a mixture of hope and suspicion. "Because conquest was never our goal," Carter replied. "When the hegemony threatened Earth, we defended ourselves. When we discovered how many worlds suffered under their rule, we offered assistance. Not because we sought power, but because we understand all too well what it means to fight for freedom." He gestured to the holographic display that appeared above the council floor, showing images of Earth's history, humans fighting each other in terrible wars, then slowly coming together. 500 years ago, humans were killing each other over resources, territory, and ideology. We nearly destroyed ourselves. From that near extinction, we learned that true power comes not from controlling others, but from cooperation and understanding. Dr. Mason stepped forward. "The technology we used against the hegemony wasn't developed for war. Our quantum manipulation field was created to solve our energy crisis. Our dimensional fold drive was meant for peaceful exploration." She touched a control, and the hologram changed to show human scientists working alongside alien colleagues. "Already, we're sharing our medical technology with 47 worlds. The quantum entanglement network that once connected only human settlements now links 15 former hegemony planets, not for control, but for communication and cooperation." In the audience, representatives from those worlds nodded. The humans had kept their word, freely sharing advancements that the hegemony had always hoarded. A reptilian delegate stood next. "How can a federation function when power is so unbalanced? Your capabilities exceed those of all other known species combined." Keith Bennett moved to the center of the platform. As Earth's chief diplomat, he had spent the past month shuttling between worlds, listening to concerns and building trust. "Power imbalances exist in any relationship," he said. "The question is how we account for them. That's why the proposed charter includes checks and balances that prevent any single species, including humans, from dominating." He brought up details of the proposed federation structure. Unlike the hegemony's hierarchical empire, this would be a true coalition with distributed authority. Each member world retains control of its internal affairs, Bennett explained. The Federation Council requires a 70% majority for any action affecting multiple worlds, and the science exchange ensures that technological advancements benefit all members, the delegates murmured among themselves. The concept was radical. Nothing like the hegemony's iron-fisted rule or even the loose trade alliances that had existed in other parts of the galaxy. Ambassador Shinlor spoke again. And what of the hegemony itself? What happens to those who ruled us for so long? Admiral Carter turned to face the small group of former Imperial officials. They are welcome to join the Federation as equals, not as rulers. Their worlds, their people, their knowledge all have value, but their days of conquest are over. The hegemony representatives shifted uncomfortably. Some looked angry, others resigned. Their empire had stood for 10,000 years, only to fall in a single day because they had ignored a warning from a supposedly primitive world. After the formal session, Dr. Mason joined Carter in a private observation room overlooking the star field. The quantum network is being adapted for peaceful communication between all member worlds, she reported. And the nanite technology is being repurposed for environmental restoration on planets the hegemony stripped bare. Carter nodded, looking out at the stars visible through the vast windows. They thought our warning was empty pride. They never considered that a species that survived its own violent tendencies might have learned something valuable in the process. Do you think it will work? Mason asked. This Federation? It has to, Carter replied. The alternative is to become what we fought against. Beyond the window, ships from a dozen worlds moved through space, working together to expand the station that would serve as the Federation's headquarters. Human vessels with their distinctive fold space drives worked alongside the massive carriers of former hegemony worlds and the sleek, organic ships of the Outer Rim species. As representatives from 100 worlds debated the structure of their new alliance, the truth became evident. Earth had issued one warning not out of arrogance, but because humans knew that true power lay not in conquest, but in the strength to show restraint until it became impossible. The Galactic Empire hadn't listened. Now, in its place, something better would grow.